A dramatic late equaliser ensured Crystal Palace had to settle for a 1-1 draw against Fulham in their opening match of 2026, a game that perfectly captured the intensity, unpredictability, and fine margins of Premier League football. Played in front of a passionate crowd eager to welcome the new year with a positive result, the contest delivered moments of quality, frustration, and late heartbreak, leaving both sets of supporters with mixed emotions as the final whistle blew. Crystal Palace entered the match with confidence and ambition, determined to start 2026 on a strong note. From the opening minutes, there was a clear sense of intent in their play. Palace pressed aggressively, moved the ball with purpose, and looked to impose their physicality and pace on Fulham. The midfield battle was fierce, with both sides keen to establish control early on, but it was Palace who appeared sharper in the opening exchanges, winning second balls and pushing Fulham back into their defensive shape. Fulham, however, remained calm under pressure. Known for their disciplined structure and patient build-up, they absorbed Palace's early intensity and gradually began to find their rhythm. Their passing became more fluid, and they started to exploit spaces out wide, forcing Palace's fullbacks to stay alert. Despite this, clear-cut chances were hard to come by in the early stages, with both defenses holding firm and goalkeepers largely untroubled. As the first half progressed, Crystal Palace began to grow in confidence once again. Their attacking movements became more coordinated, and their willingness to take risks in the final third started to pay dividends. The breakthrough finally arrived after a sustained period of pressure, sending the home fans into celebration. The goal was the result of quick thinking and decisive execution, as Palace capitalized on a momentary lapse in Fulham's defensive organization. A well-worked move opened up space, and the finish was calm and composed, giving Palace a deserved 1-0 lead. The goal shifted the momentum of the game. Crystal Palace looked energized, playing with greater freedom and belief, while Fulham were forced to respond. To their credit, Fulham did not panic. Instead, they adjusted their approach, pushing their midfield higher up the pitch and increasing the tempo of their passing. The remainder of the first half saw Fulham probing for an equaliser, but Palace's defense remained resolute, dealing well with crosses and limiting Fulham to speculative efforts from distance. At halftime, Palace supporters felt optimistic. Their team had shown intensity, organization, and attacking quality, while Fulham faced the challenge of breaking down a disciplined Palace side. However, the Premier League is rarely straightforward, and the second half would prove to be a very different test. Fulham emerged from the break with renewed purpose. Their movement off the ball improved, and they began to stretch Palace's defensive lines. The visitors enjoyed more possession and started to dictate the tempo of the game, forcing Palace to spend longer periods defending. While Palace remained dangerous on the counterattack, their chances became less frequent as Fulham committed more players forward. The midfield battle intensified as Fulham looked to dominate central areas. Palace worked tirelessly to close down space, but the sustained pressure began to take its toll. Fulham created several promising opportunities, testing Palace's goalkeeper with shots from inside and outside the box. Each save and defensive clearance was met with loud applause from the Palace crowd, who sensed the growing threat from the visitors. As the clock ticked on, the match took on a tense atmosphere. Crystal Palace were clearly trying to manage the game, slowing the tempo when possible and maintaining their defensive shape. Fulham, meanwhile, continued to push forward, aware that time was running out. The introduction of fresh legs from the bench added energy to Fulham's attack, increasing the intensity and urgency of their play. Palace had moments where they could have extended their lead and put the game beyond doubt. On a few occasions, counterattacks promised more than they delivered, with final passes just missing their target or shots lacking the necessary precision. These missed opportunities would ultimately prove costly, as Fulham refused to give up. The decisive moment came late in the match, when Fulham finally found the breakthrough they had been searching for. A moment of quality and persistence resulted in the equaliser, silencing the home crowd and dramatically changing the mood inside the stadium. The goal was a reward for Fulham's relentless pressure and belief, as they capitalized on a defensive lapse to make it 1-1 in the closing stages. For Crystal Palace, the late equaliser was a bitter blow. Having led for so long and defended with determination, conceding so late in the game felt like a defeat. Players showed visible frustration, knowing how close they had come to securing all 3 points. Fulham, on the other hand, celebrated the goal with passion, fully aware of the significance of earning a point after such a challenging match. The final minutes were played at a frantic pace, with both teams briefly pushing for a winner. Palace attempted to respond immediately, urging the crowd to lift them for one final push, while Fulham remained compact, focused on protecting the point they had fought so hard to earn. When the final whistle sounded, the 1-1 scoreline reflected a match of two contrasting halves and shifting momentum. From a broader perspective, the result highlighted both positives and areas for improvement for Crystal Palace. Their first-half performance demonstrated their attacking potential and ability to control games, while the second half exposed the difficulty of maintaining intensity and focus against sustained pressure. The late goal conceded will undoubtedly be a source of frustration for the coaching staff, who will emphasize the importance of game management and concentration until the final whistle. For Fulham, the draw felt like a small victory. Their resilience, tactical discipline, and refusal to give up were rewarded with a crucial point away from home. The performance showcased their ability to adapt and compete, even when not at their best early on. The late equaliser could prove to be a valuable confidence boost as they continue their journey through 2026. As the opening match of the new year, this game served as a reminder of why the Premier League remains one of the most captivating competitions in the world. Drama, intensity, and late twists are never far away, and both teams experienced the emotional highs and lows that define top-level football. Crystal Palace will look to build on their strong spells and turn draws into wins, while Fulham will take encouragement from their fighting spirit and ability to earn results under pressure. Ultimately, the 1-1 draw leaves both sides with something to reflect on and something to build upon. For Palace, the disappointment of conceding late will hurt, but there were enough positive signs to suggest that better results lie ahead. For Fulham, the resilience shown in securing a late equaliser will strengthen belief and unity within the squad. As the 2026 season continues to unfold, matches like this will be remembered not just for the scoreline, but for the story they tell. A story of early dominance, relentless pressure, late drama, and the fine margins that separate victory from frustration. For fans watching on YouTube and beyond, this was a reminder that every minute matters, and in football, the game is never truly over until the final whistle.